Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today we'll be discussing the treasure inside of Bellatrix Lestrange's bank vault, how it was able to multiply, and whether or not it broke any of the principal exceptions of Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration. The majority of the wizarding world of Harry Potter is steeped in magic. Witches and wizards use it to travel faster by way of broomstick, apparition, and floo powder. They use it to tidy up messes and summon items to their side without getting to their feet. People with the ability to wield a wand even use magic to transform themselves into other people, and sometimes even animals. It's also common for witches and wizards to transfigure one object into another, completely different object. After all, lessons on this very topic are offered to first-year students at magical schools like Hogwarts. And yet, despite all the great and wonderful, not to mention dark and terrible things that magic can do within the wizarding world, there are also a few things that it cannot do. While we don't have time to dive into a complete list of all of the things that magic can't do in today's video, let's explore a few of these restrictions using Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration, especially as it relates to the duplication of valuable items like gold. Gamp's law of elemental transfiguration is a wizarding world law that dictates the rules of magic in relation to the physical world and how we live in it. If we were to compare it to a Muggle equivalent, you could think of it sort of like the laws of physics. So of course we're not dealing with laws in a legal or criminal sense, but rather in terms of the rules that govern the way the world of magic works. Basically, Gamp's law outlines what a witch or wizard can and cannot do when it comes to performing transfiguration magic on objects. It includes the general rules that can be applied to almost all physical things across the board, as well as the most notable exceptions. These irregularities are known as the principal exceptions of Gamp's law, of which there are believed to be 5. However, some have speculated that there are indeed 6. One of the main irregularities of elemental transfiguration noted by the principal exceptions of Gamp's law is that certain objects cannot be conjured out of thin air, such as food. This scenario is explained in the Deathly Hallows by Hermione Granger during a rather heated exchange between herself and Ron Weasley. "Your mother can't produce food out of thin air," said Hermione. "No one can. Food is the first of the 5 principal exceptions to Gamp's law of elemental transfig—" "Oh, speak English, can't you?" Ron said, prizing a fishbone out from between his teeth. "It's impossible to make good food out of nothing. You can summon it if you know where it is, you can transform it, you can increase the quantity if you've already got some. But what does this have to do with gold, you may be wondering? Quite a bit, actually. You see, based on this explanation of Gamp's law and its principal exceptions, we can make some educated guesses on the other presumable exceptions within the wizarding world, like gold and money. For it becomes quite clear early on in the series that money is one of the things that cannot be magicked. That is, witches and wizards without much money are not able to simply create more money, and they can only earn more wealth with the old-fashioned way, by working. Through Harry's experiences with the Weasley family, specifically, we learned that it's quite possible to be both magical and poor. This seems to prove that one cannot simply multiply the money they already have or conjure more money out of thin air, quite like food. That said, people can make an existing space bigger, as the Weasley family does with their tent during the Quidditch World Cup before Harry's 4th year at school. They can even conjure more food if they already have some, but they cannot snap their fingers, create replicas of their existing gold, and become rich. So then, if gold is one of the principal exceptions of Gamp's law, and cannot be increased by magic, how does the gold in Bellatrix Lestrange's vault multiply? Does this not directly contradict Gamp's law? The answer to both of these questions are surprisingly simple. No, it does not, as the duplicated treasure in the Lestrange vault is indeed cursed and altogether worthless. This makes sense when you consider the goblins who run Gringotts Wizarding Bank. Time and time again, we see just how far they're willing to go in order to protect the treasures housed in the bank. And clearly, they would never enable a witch or wizard to steal from them, never mind to provide them with more valuables to steal. This becomes obvious right from the Philosopher's Stone, when Griphook explains to Harry what would happen to a witch or wizard if they were to try to break into one of the vaults. If anyone but a Gringotts goblin tried that, they'd be sucked through the door and trapped in there, said Griphook. How often do you check to see if anyone's inside? Harry asked. About once every 10 years, said Griphook, with a rather nasty grin. Moments before this rather gruesome explanation, Upon entering the impressive white marble building for the first time, Harry also read the following poem, posted at the front of the bank. "Enter, stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay most dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned. Beware of finding more than treasure there." From both the warning provided by Griphook and that of the poem, it seems almost all too obvious that any treasure found within Gringotts would be heavily protected. So why would the Lestrange vault be any different? Clearly, any thief who was able to gain access to Bellatrix's vault would be severely harmed in the process of trying to rob it. In fact, it was so highly secure that it was guarded by a dragon, deep underground. And this was not the only extreme form of protection that had been placed on Bellatrix's valuables. The contents of the vault had also been cursed with multiple spells, that of Gemino and Flagrante. When cast upon an object, the effect of Gemino is that the object replicates itself when touched by a person. Flagrante, on the other hand, is a curse that, when applied to an item, will make the item burn to the touch. The result of these two curses together, placed on the treasure within Bellatrix Lestrange's vault, was that the valuable items burned and replicated as soon as an intruder handled them, which is what happened to Harry, Ron, and Hermione when they broke into the vault in the spring of 1998, alongside the goblin Griphook. "They have added Gemino and Flagrante curses," said Griphook. "Everything you touch will burn and multiply, but the copies are worthless, and if you continue to handle the treasure, you will eventually be crushed to death by the weight of expanding gold." That passage from the Deathly Hallows clearly explains that the replicated gold was not actual gold, but worthless copies meant to crush thieves. And so, even if the treasures within the Lestrange vault hadn't burned to the touch, and an intruder had been able to steal the duplicates, those duplicates would not have held any value outside of the bank. This means that the gold that multiplied in Bellatrix's vault was not real gold, and therefore did not break any of Gamp's laws of elemental transfiguration. And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. What did you think? Are there any other instances within the series where you think Gamp's law may have been broken? Let me know and I can cover it in a future video. And please share any other thoughts about today's video or future topics in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live